left in the division because they're so much more meaningful. But, think about it either way. Well, you and I we've talked about, Luke looking ahead a couple of weeks, week 10, Gordon, blah, blah, blah. Worst case scenario, you're 6-4 after 10. And if the Browns play the way I believe they can, because I truly believe that I'm not worried at all about Ryan Mallett. I'm not that worried about the passing attack. I do worry if Arian Foster's healthy because he's a great running back, but he's banged up. He may not be healthy coming into this game, even though they had the bye week. And then obviously they got the weapons on defense, but I don't fear Houston. There's no reason that the Browns shouldn't be 7-3. Worst case 6-4 when you get through week 10. And I mean, when you and I were looking ahead a month and a half ago, well, I mean, anybody would have took that. And then even if you don't think, Josh Gordon's going to come in, although I don't know if you guys have heard, but I've been told that he is training like a beast and that he is ready to hit the ground running as far as his physical conditioning. It's not the same as being in game shape, but I do hear that he is absolutely training his tail off right now to hit the ground running. If you remember last year, he hit the ground running coming back after the suspension. Even if you don't expect him to go crazy statistically, the threat of him will make an impact on the field. Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely. And at the start of the year, we had no idea who Taylor Gabriel was.
No, right.
We didn't know what we were going to get out of Miles Austin
or Hawkins.
And we didn't really. We had seen a little bit of Andrew Hawkins, but we didn't know what to expect there. All three of these guys, to their great credit, have stepped up, and it's. We were talking about how terrible our receiving core was at the beginning of the year, and Brian Hoyer and Kyle Shanahan have made chicken salad out of chicken crap. Whatever you want to call it. These weren't big name guys. Austin was the only guy anybody had ever heard of. Andrew Hawkins, little known, even though he'd been in the league a couple of years. But these guys have done well, and add Josh Gordon to that, and add Jordan Cameron to that, and you've got not just an average or mediocre receiving core. You've got a darn good one, and sure, some of these guys are small, but Taylor Gabriel, that kid just catches everything you throw his way. He made a great catch, and they got a key moment in that game the other night. It's big, and certainly Gordon will get everybody's attention, and he is one guy that will keep defensive coordinators up late at night, the night before they play the Cleveland Browns, and that's just one more thing in our favor. So, the schedule's tougher down the stretch, but like you said, there's not a team on that schedule that we need to fear or that we think that we won't be in the game.
No, it's going to be really interesting, and I'm glad too they get back to it. This weekend was a bit strange because the Browns kicked things off back into the regular schedule here. Team will get back and get to practicing. By the middle of this week, we should have an idea health-wise. Maybe they get a couple of guys feeling a little bit better here with that extra stretch, and it's half of a bye week here coming up this week. But you got to get ready for Houston, and I think they've had time to get ready for you. But I think if you're the Browns, man, you got to be – I think you're extra aggressive defensively this week because, as we know, so many people talked about the Browns, Dan, as bye week, changing the quarterback, scenarios, and all of that crap during the preseason. You know what it means when a team makes the decision to change the quarterback at the bye week. It means that we either are desperate or we need a spark or this isn't working or whatever. They want to see what they've got in Ryan Mallett. And, hey, for those of you guys that talk about how great it was for Brian Hoyer to sit behind Tom Brady, so did Ryan Mallett, and he's got the big arm and the big body and all of that stuff. But it's a team changing quarterbacks. I think you want to be much like teams attacked us when we changed the offensive line. You want to go after that because it's still his first game under fire with bullets flying. Crowd's going to be – think about this because you're going to be there, Dan. I was telling somebody last night, the Cleveland Browns fans have not congregated since the team went to Cincinnati and kicked some tail on national TV. So if you think they've been loud so far this season, I'm pretty sure the loudest game yet will be looming on the horizon here as they get to kind of have of what the Browns did the other day. So put all that together, man, and it's going to be a tough environment for that Houston offense with a fresh quarterback.
Yeah, I don't care how big and strong Ryan Mallett is. Like you said, it's his first NFL start. That's the key thing. You can sit on the bench and carry the clipboard behind Tom Brady all you want, but till you're out there and and with guys running after you and coming at you and changing up coverages and blitzing from all over the place. You've seen a lot this year of Brown's defense where all 4 defensive linemen or 3 are standing up at the line of scrimmage, moving around. Nobody's even in a 3-point stance. So it's hard to know where they're coming from, and whether you're running stunts or if you're not running stunts, that's confusing. Ryan Mallett's going to be confused. Now he may have some beginner's luck, and I'm sure, like you say, coming off the bye week, they'll be well drilled and well prepared for what they expect to see. But it's his first start in the NFL, and I think that's really all you need to say. It's going to be tough for him in a hostile environment, and you're right, the crowd will be jacked beyond belief. It's been louder this year than it's ever been before in 16 seasons, and I'm sure it'll be right at that peak that we saw in the Ravens game. Strangely enough, the last 2 home games, Tampa Bay and Oakland, and even Pittsburgh before that, we're not used to being at Brown Stadium and having wins where you're relaxed in the fourth quarter. Every win practically the Browns have ever had since they came back, when they win at home, which has been rare, it's been nail biter, sweating it out till the last second. And so you're up 31-10 on Pittsburgh. You really had a 10-point win over the Raiders because you pulled away at the end with a couple late touchdowns. And the same with Tampa Bay. You weren't sweating bullets down the stretch. So it hasn't been as loud the last 3 home games as it was, say, the Ravens game, which I told you was the loudest venue I've ever heard anywhere.
Yeah.
The Ravens game when they lost it late. I expect the place to be rocking this week, and the fans are just going to be a little bit full of themselves and full of whatever else they fill up on. So it'll be great.
And there's the next test, too. I want to see that when you come in with that now, because that's what you got to keep doing. We talk about the checklist. You got to keep knocking them off, man. And if you slip and you stumble backwards, you just got to keep moving forward. That's the other place that I feel good about this team is, last year they lost a game, and then they lost them all going down the stretch. And I do believe that this team is not that team. They don't have that makeup where no matter what happens from week to week, it's a win or a loss. You're going to brush it off and go to the next week no matter what. They can win big or lose big. And you brought up McMullen and the week to week in the NFL. No better example than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Forget the Browns. Look at the Steelers. 1 week, they're rolling teams. The next week, they're getting rolled by the Browns. Then the next 2 weeks, Roethlisberger's throwing for, 2,000 touchdown passes, and then all of a sudden the Jets come to town. So they're up and down. Every team's up and down. The Seattle yesterday, they pulled away late, and if you look at the score, you would think, oh well, Seattle dominated the Giants, but they didn't. If you watch that game, it was 17-all at one point before Seattle scored the last couple of touchdowns in the second half. They got the pick, and Marshawn Lynch was just going beast mode for real. But the Giants were on upset alert there for the first 2, maybe 2.5 quarters of that game. So it really is any week, any team, any matchup here as we see. But I thought that was as good example as any there, man. And I'll tell you what, talking about blowouts and rivalries and competition and what people expected, we both thought that the Buckeyes could go take care of business against the Spartans, but man, not that level of business. The Buckeyes came for revenge, and they got it the other night in East Lansing.
Yeah, they sure did. It was great offensive performance. Defense, not so much. The defense really struggled.
Oh, yeah.
They did not have a good game tackling, and there's lots of reasons to go back to the drawing board and go back to work, I should say, this week in Columbus, and obviously that's what they're doing. But J.T. Barrett showed the nation this time around. He's been on national TV the last couple of weeks, but this was a primetime game that the whole nation was dialed into, and with several games that were really top-flight games, Alabama, LSU on at the same time, and TCU playing Kansas State. There was lots of good primetime activity. But I got the feeling from what I was watching and my Twitter feed and what I was hearing during the game that the people were dialed in on Ohio State, Michigan State. They considered that the game of the night, and it really did turn out to be a hugely entertaining game. The first half up and down the field, and both teams, never more than a 7-point difference to a 28-21 halftime score. And Buckeyes, after the first time they led was when they hit the long touchdown pass to Devin Smith right before the half, and took their first lead of the day, and of course never lost it after that. But J.T. Barrett is laying waste to the Ohio State offensive record book. I have a couple of numbers. If you don't mind, let me run a couple things by you. This kid, let's just take there's 4 single season offensive records for passing, touchdowns, etc. The single season total offense record, combined rushing and passing yards for the Ohio State Buckeyes is Terrell Pryor, 3,526 yards in 2010. Now that record has been vacated, so it's not official. Braxton Miller in 2012 with 3,300. And after that, 3 is Bobby Hoying, 4 is Joe Germain, 5 is Braxton Miller last year. So he's got 2 of the top 5, total yardage records all time for Ohio State. And Troy Smith in 2006 had 2,800 and some. Well, J.T. Barrett's at 2,700 some right now. He's in 7th place right now, all time total yardage, and he's got 4 games to go, maybe 5, if they play in the Big Ten championship game. So that he's going to blow that away. He's on pace for 4,200, which would beat the number 1 mark, Terrell Pryor's record, by 700 yards if he just stays on his current average. Then you go to passing yards. Joe Germain, number 1, 1998, 3,300 yards. Barrett's got 2,100, and he's on pace to break that Joe Germain's all-time single season passing yards record if he plays in just 14 games. If he plays 14, that would be, the regular season 12 plus Big Ten championship and bowl game. But if he plays and just averages what he's been averaging, and that's including, obviously, a couple of slow starting games at Virginia Tech, maybe he didn't do all that well, so he's really just been coming on. So he'll probably has a very good chance of breaking the single-season passing yardage record all-time for Ohio State as a freshman. Now, talk about 2 records that he's just going to blow away. The single-season, record for total touchdowns responsible for. In other words, combination of passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns. Braxton 6. Through 24 touchdown passes, and he had 12 rushing touchdowns. J.T. Barrett's at 34 right now, with 4, maybe 5 games to go. He's going to just blow that record right out of the water, barring injury. The other record that he is going to smash, it looks like, is the single-season passing touchdowns record. One of the greatest seasons ever by an Ohio State quarterback, Troy Smith, 2006, Heisman Trophy, national championship game. 30 touchdown passes. J.T. Barrett has 26 right now with 4, maybe 5 games to play. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So it's just, his dominance as a freshman. I mean, this is something that is so out of the blue and is such a great story. The national media is really just now starting to catch on to it and hype him. He was a National Player of the Week this week for what he did against the Spartans. But it just is incredible what he's done, and just a treat to watch him every week. I mean, this offense that Meyer and Herman have, and by the way, this was Tom Herman's best game in Columbus. By far, I thought the play calling was spectacular. Just kept the pressure on, just kept the variety, kept the unpredictability going. And when Barrett came out, and you expect you have to run the ball against Michigan State, and you figure, well, they're going to want to establish Ezekiel Elliott. Nope. Barrett comes out and he throws the ball 7 of the first 8 plays, and the 8th play was a run by him. A quarterback draw up the middle for a first down. But other than that, he threw the ball the first 7 plays out of 8, and it had the Spartans back on their heels right from the get-go. They never did recover. And I told you last week, Jerry, that this was not the 2013 Michigan State defense, and certainly that was proven out. They aren't as good on defense as they were last year. They lost a lot, and that showed up after the game. D'Antonio says, the bottom line is we couldn't stop them. They scored touchdowns on 5 consecutive possessions, sandwiched around halftime, and it just got away from the Spartans. They had no answer. Part of that is Herman's play calling. The other half is just lots and lots of speed. One thing that was ultimately clear was that the Buckeyes are a much faster team than Michigan State is. They're faster than most teams they're going to play. And, hate to use the term SEC speed, but this Buckeye team has SEC speed and then some. There's there's nobody they have to take a backseat to in that area. Sad to hear about Dontre Wilson being lost.
Yeah.